Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Throne of Steel based on novel. So let's start. Everyone present had only witnessed the prophecy of life once. Only star demon gods could use it, and throughout the history of the demons, this was only the second time it was used. After all, it required the star demon god's life to conduct the prophecy. The orange light gradually turned into a screen of light that hovered in the air. The illusory screen of light first swirled about, before gradually clearing up. The screen depicted when the demon god emperor killed Long Houchen, how Long Houchen's heart was penetrated, and that he slowly fell onto the ground. Afterwards, Kia and the rest of the bright glimmer of hope left the star demon pagoda in a hurry with his corpse. The screen followed them until they reached the wilderness. Yi Xiaolei appeared and said something to Kia. Afterwards, they saw Kia take off the eternal melody from Long Houchen's neck and wore it herself. Seeing Yi Xiaolei, the demon god emperor raised an eyebrow slightly. However, when he saw how she did not heal Long Houchen, doubt appeared in his eyes. Even if she was the remnant of the goddess of nature, she could not revive the dead. At this moment, the scene changed once more. The teleportation began. Kia immediately turned into streaks of light, with everyone else, and vanished from there. The orange screen of light returned to a swirl, while the star demon god trembled violently, as if he was in intense agony. The orange vortex remained like that for a minute, before showing a new scene. However, it was much blurrier this time. A 7-layered tower appeared. When they saw the tower, all of the demon powerhouses present felt a strange pressure from their souls. Even the demon god emperor was not an exception. It zoomed in, directly into the tower. Afterwards, Caia carrying Long Houchen's corpse appeared as she led the bright glimmer of hope up the tower. Even though it was very blurry, they were still able to make out the most important people of the bright glimmer of hope. In particular, they could tell that it was Kia from her unique sickle of the god of death. When they reached there, the demon god emperor's face could not help but sink. Long Houchen was dead, but Caia had carried his corpse to such a special place. It was clearly to revive him. Otherwise, why would she do that? However, Visago had always been telling him that Long Houchen had not been revived. He was dead for sure. The scene constantly changed. Gradually, there was battle, but it became blurrier and blurrier. When Caia began to climb the path to the sky, they could only vaguely make out a golden color. The golden gate of light appeared and Caia leapt into it. In the next moment, the entire scene became messy. It had become completely illusory. Visago let out a roar and another mouthful of blood spurted out. This time, he could not help but shake violently as his vitality leaked away rapidly. Under the support of his blood, the screen gradually stabilized. It had become clear once more. A huge coffin was presented before all the demon gods. The holy necromancer, slumbering calamity Elux appeared, and the aura from before which had suppressed the souls of all the demon gods reached an apex. A light element necromancer. The demon god emperor almost cried out. The scene moved very quickly. Elux condensed a golden heart in his hand. Although it had only appeared for a split second, the demon god emperor still saw it. In the next moment, he saw golden light surge and jump rapidly around Long Houchen's chest. The scene changed again. It was when Elux held the sickle of the god of death to purify himself. Visago's prophecy lasted until then, and could not continue any further. He had forcefully strengthened the prophecy of life, so the length of it had decreased drastically. The orange screen of light gradually dimmed and the images faded as well. Visago tottered about as he was enveloped in light. He's not human. He's an undead. He has the body of an undead. He's still dead. He's dead. Austin Griffin can't be still alive. Long Houchen's only an undead, only an undead. Visago's voice sounded like both weeping and appealing. The demon gods could not help but look over when they heard it. Currently, Visago was like a ghost. He was charred black all over. He used his own light to tell the demon god emperor that his prophecy was not wrong. Long Houchen did indeed die, and he had not been revived. He was living as an undead. All he possessed was a heart that a powerful necromancer had modeled. Gazes of query basically appeared in the eyes of all the demon gods present. They looked at the demon god emperor. In particular, Agars had clenched his fists out of anger. At this moment, the demon god emperor raised his hand and a ball of green light flew over, landing on Visago's body. The gentle green light enveloped Visago, and powerful vitality poured into his body. A pleasant, crisp trickling sound rang out like a mountain stream. Visago's exhausted vitality actually began to replenish at an astonishing rate, and his tottering body actually stabilized as well. What was this power? The demon gods all stared at Visago in shock. No matter how powerful the demon god emperor was, he possessed the powers of darkness. But before them, this was clearly life magic, and it was at such a high level that it could rival the demon god emperor's dark magic. The demon god emperor frowned. He knew he had gone slightly overboard today. Even if he possessed supreme authority among the demons, Visago was still the demon god that ranked third, as well as the demon prophet. He was forced to take out that treasure to protect Visago's life, or the demon gods present would probably grow apart from him. The demon god emperor took off his luxurious black cape and slowly arrived before Visago. He looked at the green light gradually recover his vitality as he said, "I've messed up, because I care. I've accused you wrongly about this matter. Every single one of us here understands what Austin Griffin means to our race, and that is the reason why I was furious. All I can do is bring back your lost life. Third brother, I hope you can understand me." As he said that, he personally draped the cape over Visago. The vitality in the green light was just too powerful. In just a short while, not only did Visago recover all the vitality he had used up in the prophecy of life, he had even recovered from the damage that was caused by the prophecy. In that moment, he experienced a multitude of feelings. He looked at the demon god emperor before him speechlessly. The demon god emperor waved his hand and released the moon demon god's seal, before turning around and returning to his throne. The star demon god's recovery quickly dissipated the resentment that the other demon gods experienced. Agars quickly arrived beside Visago, as he looked at him with a gaze of query. Visago looked back at him deeply. There was gratitude in his eyes. Out of all these demon gods, he had assisted basically every single one of them in the past. As the demon prophet, basically all the demon gods had come to him for his prophecies before. However, in this crucial moment, only Agars was willing to stand up for him, even despite the demon god emperor's fury. Just as the saying went, adversity reveals true friendship. Although Visago said nothing, his grateful gaze told the moon demon god many things. Agars glanced at him and Visago nodded gently. Wrapping himself in the demon god emperor's cape, he took a few steps forward and knelt down. "Your Majesty, I, Visago, admit my wrongs. Long Houchen is indeed still alive. It was my prophecies that were insufficient, which caused such a great problem for your Majesty. Please punish me." Agars and Visago both understood the demon god emperor. Although the prophecy of life earlier had already shown that the demon god emperor had wrongly accused the star demon god, was anyone really bold enough to blame the demon god emperor? No matter how much resentment Visago experienced, he could not afford to show any of it at all. He even had to cover it all up for the sake of the demon god emperor. The demon god emperor Fengxiu was the greatest powerhouse of the demons in the past 6,000 years. He had not reached his current status by relying on others. With a wave of his hand, spiritual energy lifted Visago to his feet. Fengxiu sighed, "Being right is being right, and being wrong is being wrong. You are not wrong. I am. However, I believe you can sense the benefits from the vitality earlier. Just treat it as your older brother making it up to you. That's called fair resource. Not only can it recover your vitality, it can give you an additional 500 years of life as well. Over all these years, you've harmed your vitality for our race by giving prophecies again and again. Treat it as the entire race repaying you with thanks. I hope you won't bear grudges against me." Visago lowered his head and said, I would never. Thank you for the bestowment, Your Majesty. The demon god emperor said, I know you are very discontent with what I did earlier, but you should also understand exactly what Austin Griffin means to our race. Recently, I used my secluded cultivation as a cover to fool the humans in the capital, and I went to the illusory shrine. I personally killed the fairy dragon that neared 1 million spiritual energy, destroyed both the illusory shrine and illusory paradise, and tried to capture the remnant that the goddess of nature had left in the human world. After I had killed the fairy dragon, it left behind the fairy source and fairy's heart. The fairy's heart was taken away by the remnant of the goddess of nature, while the fairy source ended up in my hands. Just when I was about to succeed, Long Houchen appeared and destroyed my plans. He's already powerful enough to threaten me, and he quickly saved the remnant of the goddess of nature, which made me lose my chance at becoming a true god. With that, the demon gods all understood. As it turned out, the demon god emperor was not furious only because Long Houchen was still alive and Austin Griffin might have been revived. He was angry because his plan on becoming a god was destroyed as well. Without a doubt, it was basically impossible for the demon god emperor to obtain the remnant of the goddess of nature after she had been saved by Long Houchen. Although all the demon gods present knew that the demon god emperor's cultivation was unfathomable, this was the first time he had personally admitted the possibility of becoming a god. In that moment, the pressure from earlier gradually reappeared in the hearts of the demon gods. As the strongest group among the demons, they knew what becoming a god meant very well. No wonder the demon god emperor had been turning a blind eye to most of the matters happening in the race recently. He had really reached that level. The demon god emperor said coldly, Long Houchen's still alive, which means he's a threat. Even if Austin Griffin is really dead, he himself still can threaten our reign. The next time we meet will be when we clash, and his cultivation has already surpassed the strongest powerhouse in human history. And he's only in his 20s right now. If we give him enough time and space, our race will be in danger. As a result, I have already decided to reignite the Holy War. We need to kill off Long Houchen for good, regardless of whether he's a human or an undead. No one dared to object. Even though the demon gods all knew that the main reason for this was probably because the demon god emperor wanted to take back that god so he could become a god, since the threat of Austin Griffin was most likely gone, would they still be bold enough to say anything? He had already made an example out of the star demon god. The demon god emperor did not have second fairy source. Tell me, do you have any suggestions? The demon god emperor's dignified gaze swept past the demon gods below. The demon gods looked at each other. None of them dared to say anything. This news had come just too suddenly. At this moment, Arbao, who stood beside demon god emperor, began to talk. He took 2 steps forward and knelt down on one knee before the demon god emperor. Father, since we will be reigniting the Holy War, I think we have to unleash our full strength this time. In the last Holy War, we exhausted a tremendous amount of effort and resources. Although the humans were the same, we still failed to take their strongholds. I think we have to kill our way into the humans no matter what we do and deal a proper blow to them. Even if it's not enough to wipe them out completely, we have to make them really suffer, or even destroy 1 or 2 temples. The demon god emperor became rather impatient. Go into detail. These empty words are useless. Arbao said, I think we should concentrate our forces this time and attack just 1 or 2 strongholds. With our strength, it's impossible for them to repel us. Since the objective this time is destruction, not just suppression or dealing a blow, we should be more vicious. I am willing to lead the vanguard into battle. Coldness flashed through the demon god emperor's eyes. There's something you got right. This time, we have to make the humans suffer. According to our scouts among the humans have recovered very quickly during the years after the last Holy War. At least, it's faster than us. The advantage that the humans have gradually has begun to show itself. If this continues, the humans might even launch a counterattack against us in a few years' time. We cannot allow that to happen. The Holy War this time won't be a bunch of small skirmishes. I want the humans to truly understand what an unopposable power is. Agars, Vasago, go back first. Gather your clansmen, and this time, we need to send out all the elites of our 3 clans. I'd like to see what the humans will use to stop us. Of course, before this, we should clean up the annoying flies in Modu. I haven't touched them all these years, so do they really think I can't do anything to them? The demon god of death Samijina said politely, Your Majesty, then where should we begin our attacks against the humans? My fiend clan pledges our lives to Your Majesty. We are willing to serve as the vanguard. The demon god emperor said plainly, The humans can't stop us no matter where we begin. Let me deal with the annoying flies in Modu before I decide on the exact plan. Arbao, gather all the demon hunter removers in Modu. From today onwards, I will name you the commander of the demon hunter removers. You will lead all of them. Prepare for battle. Yes, a cold light surged in Arbao's eyes as heavy battle spirit and killing intent appeared. The other demon gods below kneeled down at the same time. We pledge our lives, Your Majesty. If the demons are going to launch an attack, the most likely target is our dragon-resisting mountain pass. Long Houchen on the leading seat in the discussion hall of the Night Temple. Beside him sat Long Xingyu and the members of the Bright Glimmer of Hope. Aside from him, the other people of the Bright Glimmer of Hope were also members of the Union. They possessed the right to participate in this meeting. As soon as Long Houchen had said that, the powerhouses of the Night Temple became shocked. Long Xingyu asked in doubt, Chairman, why do you think that? Long Houchen said, Because the demon god emperor's target is me. Everyone, you still should be able to remember that with my companions, we once destroyed demon god pillars. We destroyed the demon god pillars of the snake demon god Andromalius and the panther demon god Auxer, turning the 72 demon god pillars into 70 forever, with no possibility of recovering. That was because I possess a special power that just happens to suppress the demon god pillars of the demons, which can also destroy them. Because of this, the demon god emperor had once set up a trap, ambushing and almost killing us completely. More correctly, he thought I had already died back then. This time, in order to stop him from gaining the goddess of nature's guarded remnants, we met again. The demon god emperor must have felt threatened and will want to wage war once more. His target will be me. To the demons, I am their greatest issue. If they don't kill me, the demon god emperor will never find peace, and the best way to deal with me is to directly attack the dragon-resisting mountain pass, because the demon god emperor is confident that as a member of the Night Hall, I won't just abandon the mountain pass. That is why I'm guessing his first target is likely to be attacking us. Everyone nodded upon hearing Long Houchen's explanation, but it was possible to tell from the worry in their eyes that the dragon-resisting mountain pass really was unwilling to clash with the demons right now. Long Houchen said seriously, I can understand your worries. The Holy War has just ended a few years ago, and you are all resting. If the demons do come again, it will definitely be a great disaster. And it's very likely that the demon god emperor will personally lead the devil dragons into battle. It will be even more dangerous than the precious Holy War. However, it's not up to us to decide whether the war happens or not. Although it was an accident when I stopped the demon god emperor from obtaining the remnants of the goddess of nature, I am confident that if the demon god emperor succeeds, it will be our doomsday. We will lose our future. As a result, all we can do is unleash our full strength in a battle to the death against the demons this time. This battle very well might become the turning point in our age of darkness. Our Night Temple has gained 6 divine knights, unprecedented in history. This means that history has placed a huge burden on us. There is only one objective in the meeting today. No matter when the Holy War begins or how powerful the enemy is, I hope our divine knights can all be prepared for battle and face the problems of the near future in our strongest condition. Whether we can carve out a ray of light in the darkness will be up to us. As the chairman of the Union, I have an inescapable responsibility. As the divine knight of glory and leadership, I can guarantee everyone that before I die, the demon god emperor won't be able to harm any of our fellow officers. After these warm-hearted words, everyone present was brimming with enthusiasm. Long Houchen's promise meant that he would be taking on all the burden of facing against the greatest powerhouse of the demons, the demon god emperor. Throughout the history of humans, whether it was the divine holy sword wield, or the sign of samsara, none of them had ever promised like Long Houchen, despite all being prodigies. After thinking about how Long Houchen had already become the master of the divine throne of eternity, and creation, as well, everyone's confidence immediately increased slightly. Long Houchen continued, "I've already written a letter to the headquarters. In the next few days, the upper echelon of the Union will arrive at dragon-resisting mountain pass to discuss the countermeasures. At the same time, they will bring with them the newly formed First and Second Armies of the Union. As for the battle plan and tactics we will use, we will decide after careful discussion." The meeting ended and Long Houchen had reached his basic objective. At least, he had roused the morale of the Night Temple Hall at the dragon-resisting mountain pass. However, Long Houchen did not feel at ease at all, because he knew that after the Holy War last time, the 6 human temple had all become jittery. After all, the humans had suffered far too great of a loss last time. However, matters would not disappear just because they were afraid. They could completely foresee the arrival of the demon god emperor. What Long Houchen needed to do right now is to increase morale as much as possible and gather all the powers of the Union to face against the issue. After receiving Long Houchen's letter, the headquarters of the Temple Union began to move in full swing. Orders were sent off to the 6 temples to tell them to prepare for battle. At the same time, every temple recommended 3 members to go to the Night Hall at dragon-resisting mountain pass to take part in the meetings. All the vice-chairmen of the Union went as well. They also brought the First and Second Armies that had already been integrated together and trained to a certain degree to the dragon-resisting mountain pass. On the side of the demons, all the demon hunt squads received missions for the war. They did all that they could to investigate the plans of the demons. According to their reports, the demons did indeed stir. The strongest dozen or so demon clans had all mobilized their troops. The news that shocked the Temple Union the most was that the demon god emperor had gathered over 50 demon gods with their demon god pillars to hold a meeting in Modu. After hearing that, the Temple Union was immediately thrown into an uproar. Even in the previous Holy War, the demons had not mobilized so many demon gods. Out of the 72 demon gods, 2 demon god pillars had been destroyed and there were a total of 9 demon gods that had been killed so far. In other words, there were actually only 63 demon gods. Apart from leaving behind a few demon gods to guard important territory, the demon god emperor had basically mobilized all of the forces that the demon gods had to offer. From the looks of things, it seemed a little like they wanted to wage a final war against the humans. Why wouldn't the Temple Union be shocked by this? No one had thought that after the new union had been founded, the demons would respond so quickly and with such determination. Only the upper echelon of the Union understood that the main reason why the demon god emperor had begun the Holy War was because of their new chairman, Long Houchen. What could they do? Hand over Long Houchen? They definitely could not do that. When Long Houchen wasn't powerful, the Temple Alliance had resisted this temptation and engaged in an all-out war against the demons, so let alone now. Not only was he powerful, he had become the person who held the greatest authority in the Temple Union, as well as the first divine Knight of Glory of leadership in the Night Temple, gaining the recognition of the divine throne of eternity and creation. Coupled with his bright glimmer of hope, it was possible to say that just their demon hunt squad could rival the upper echelon of any single one of the 6 temples. Half a month later, the upper echelon of the Temple Union gathered at the dragon-resisting mountain pass. The 2 integrated armies were stationed there as well. Just when they began the first important meeting of the Union's history, grievous news suddenly arrived. What? Including Long Houchen, all the people in the discussion hall stood up in shock. A solemn atmosphere immediately filled the entire room. The demon god slayers and the 9 heaven transcenders had both been annihilated. This news came just too suddenly, and it was just too shocking. For that moment, the entire discussion hall had fallen utterly silent. Everyone felt like their hearts had been struck by something heavy, while Long Houchen paled as the chairman of the Union. The news had come just when the war was about to erupt, making it just too shocking. At the same time, it was a great hit to the Temple Union as well. Aside from the bright glimmer of hope, the demon god slayers and the 9 heaven transcenders were the other 2 titled demon hunt squads that had great achievements. Long Houchen was not exactly familiar with the 9 heaven transcenders, but he could not be more familiar with the demon god slayers. The legendary powerhouse, Chen Zidian, had assisted him time and time again, which was the reason why he could successfully become the chairman. However, he had never thought that just after parting a few months ago, they would be completely annihilated by the Dions. After a moment of shock, Long Houchen forcefully suppressed his grief. The captain was an old man in his 80s. He said painfully, "The news is reliable. Senior Chen Zidian has always maintained a special communication method with our demon hunt squad. When that had happened, he quickly sent a message to tell us to retreat back to the Union. The demon god emperor had personally led the moon demon god, star demon god of death, hell demon god and another dozen or so demon gods to encircle them without any prior warning. When Senior Chen Zidian sent the message, they were already about to be defeated. However, the demon god slayers and 9 heaven transcenders fought to their deaths and managed to kill 3 demon gods. Senior Chen Zidian also sent an accurate figure over. Aside from the 3 demon gods that were slain, another 54 demon gods had gathered in Modu. The last thing that Senior Chen Zidian told me was rather confusing. He said the demon god emperor was hiding. There was nothing else after saying hiding. He must have died to the demon god emperor. After hearing that, the people in the room could not help but gasp. In that moment, everyone just looked at each other. Aside from Long Houchen, who managed to remain composed, the others were all in shock. The atmosphere in the meeting room had grown solemn. Long Houchen's heart also weighed heavily with sorrow filling his eyes. He did not know how strong the 9 heaven transcenders were, but he did know about the demon god slayers led by Chen Zidian. Every single member of the demon god slayers had surpassed 300,000 spiritual energy, which is the 3rd rank of the 9th step, or higher. They were all powerhouses with domains. Chen Zidian's cultivation had even reached the 4th rank of the 9th step. Under his lead, even if they were encircled by many powerhouses, they still should have had the chance to escape. At least 1 or 2 of them should have survived. However, the end result was that they were annihilated. If he had not known that it was impossible, why would Chen Zidian spend the time sending messages, instead of assisting at least one of their members in breaking out? The 2 titled demon hunt squads had been killed just like this. It was an extremely heavy blow to the Temple Union. In particular, this was the heaviest blow to morale since the Union was founded. Yang Haohan said sternly, "Contain the news. Don't let it spread. Chairman, I'd advise you to recall all demon hunt squads in the territory of the demons immediately." Long Houchen nodded, "I agree. Is there anyone who objects?" The decision was passed under unanimous agreement. Even 2 titled demon hunt squads had died to the demons, demonstrating just how determined the demon god emperor was this time. If the other demon hunt squads remained there, they would probably just be wasted as cannon fodder. After making the decision, the meeting room immediately fell silent. Everyone was in deep thought. They all experienced pressure greater than anything they had felt in the past. The deaths of the 2 titled demon hunt squads made them completely understand that the holy war the demons would be launching this time would be completely different from the past. Not only would the Devil Dragons, Moon Demon Clan and Star Demon Clan be taking part, the Demon God Emperor had basically gathered 90% of the demons' forces as well. They were clearly ready for a battle to the death. Did the demons plan on destroying the humans for good? Yang Houchen sighed, "Looks like we're forced to use certain forces." When he reached there, he looked at Long Houchen and said sternly, "Chairman, I'd advise us to mobilize the power of the Night's Sacred Mountain." Long Houchen was surprised. For a moment, he did not understand what Yang Haohan was saying. Yang Haohan was currently a divine knight, one of the heads of the Night Temple, but he was not even a vice-chairman of the new union. However, at such a crucial time, he seemed surprisingly calm as the previous chairman. After hearing the Night's Sacred Mountain, the 6 temple heads raised their heads. Their eyes twinkled. Long Houchen asked, "Temple Head Yang, what are you referring to by the Night's Sacred Mountain's forces?" In his impression, many light element magical beasts lived on the knight's sacred mountain. It was a place to provide outstanding young knights with their mounts. At the same time, it supported a few seniors of the Knight Temple that had been heavily injured in battle against the demons. However, how could this power be enough to fend off the demons? Yang Haohan must have been referring to something. Yang Haohan stood up slowly, and after glancing past the other temple heads, he said, "At such a critical time of life or death, there are a few things I must tell you all, which the Union can then discuss and decide on." The Mage Temple head Li Jingji nodded. He said, "That's the only way now." The original Warrior Temple head Qiu Yonghao, the original Spiritual Temple head Chen Hongyu, the original Assassin Temple head Xingyu, and the Priest Temple head Ling Xiao all nodded. Having gained the permission of the other temple heads, Yang Haohan turned towards Long Haochen, chairman, vice chairman, and various members. "Today I will tell you the secret of the Knight's Sacred Mountain. Regardless of the outcome we reach, I hope everyone can keep this a secret, because this matter has to do with the Union Army's morale. Once it's leaked outside, it have an immeasurable effect." Long Haochen could already guess in that short amount of time that the secret of the Knight's Sacred Mountain was probably a trump card that the humans had against the demons. However, there should have been something disgraceful about this trump card, or it wouldn't be so mysterious. It would have also been used in the previous Holy War. Yang Haohan said, "Over 6,000 years ago, when the demons descended and attacked us, the Xingmo was plunged into misery and suffering. The humans who had originally ruled over the place experienced a sudden drop in population. For a time, corpses were strewn everywhere as the demons burned, killed and pillaged. They committed all kinds of sins. For the sake of survival, the capable people could only choose to flee. Under the constant pressuring of the demons, they gathered in the territory of our Union currently controls and formed the 6 temples, fighting back against the demons with full force. After several decades of war, we finally stabilized our footing. Using the predecessors of the 6 forts currently occupied by the 6 temples, we finally stopped the demons' attacks. However, the demons were still powerful back then, and they engaged in a decisive battle against the Temple Alliance of the time. Part 1 end here.